Hey, this is The Rock. Hit the like button if you agree that AEW watered down the edginess in pro wrestling.
Now, I did hear what CM Junk said about Raw going to Netflix, and I agree with everything he said, but at the same time, I feel like he took a shot at All Elite fake pro wrestling. With what he said, he don't want Raw to become All Elite Wrestling Light in terms of always bleeding, always cursing, always doing dumbass stunts that are uncalled for. By him saying that, he don't want people on Raw to bleed for no reason. He don't want people on Raw to curse for no reason. Listen, the only people who should curse are top guys. CM Junk, he sees it as, okay, if everybody curses, it loses meaning. If everybody bleeds, it loses meaning. If everybody does crazy ass, dumbass stunts, it loses meaning. That means nobody stands out. That's why Jeff Hardy was so special. That's why Rey Mysterio was so special. That's why Mick Foley was special. Only those guys were doing stunts. See, only special talent should be allowed to do crazy ass shit. That's how icons and legends are born. Because look at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Not a lot of people was allowed to talk like Stone Cold and Rocky Maivia on a main roster. That's what made those guys great. For example, Cody Rhodes, he should be allowed to curse. Who else? Drew Mack should be allowed to curse. Rocky Maivia should be allowed to curse. Man, I can't believe there was a dumbass rumor that niggas backstage had an issue with Rocky Maivia being allowed to curse. I'm like, bruh, that's Rocky Maivia. He should be allowed to curse. I'm like, bruh, that guy is a fucking draw. He's Rocky Maivia. You are not. Why would you have an issue with Rocky Maivia cursing? Like, what? Like, he's an icon. He is a legend. I'm like, man, like, y'all gotta chill. If these rumors were true, you gotta fucking chill. If you want to curse, how about you work your ass off on trying to be the next Rocky Maivia? That guy gets a hall pass. Roman motherfucking Reigns, he gets a hall pass for cursing. So what the fuck is the issue? I see it as, listen, a guy like a Daniel Garcia, he should not be cursing. A guy like a Wheeler Useless should not be cursing. Guys like that, hell, Pac, he should not be cursing. If you ain't no motherfucking main eventer, you should not be cursing. Like, I don't get it. For the past 5 years, I've had issues with All Elite Wrestling, doing dumb shit, always doing crazy ass stunts that nobody asked for, always cursing, always bleeding. That's what CM Junk don't want Raw to become. Don't curse as a crutch. How about you work on better promos? That's what CM Junk is saying. You can cut a great promo without cursing. You can have a great match without fucking bleeding. I'm like, listen, look at Daniel Bryan. I'm like, man, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are a bad role model for a younger talent. And here's why. Why did you bleed against Adam Page in the Owen Hart tournament? I'm like, what the fuck? Nigga, you are not in a blood feud with Adam Page. Now, if that was an accident, I would give Daniel Bryan a hall pass. If it was on accident that he bled during his match with Adam motherfucking Page. But later on that night, did you see Tony Storm bleed? Right? I'm like, what the fuck is this? 2 people were bleeding on Dynamite. Not a pay-per-view, but on Dynamite? Bro, it loses meaning. We just saw Daniel Bryan bleed in a tournament. So, fucking hours later, really, minutes later, we see Mariah May making Tony Storm bleed, big booty timeless Tony Storm. So yes, it made the angle seem kind of weak, right? People became numb to that angle. Why? We see people bleed every Wednesday at this point, right? You gotta make it special. For example, when Rocky Maivia made Cody Rhodes bleed, that was rare shit. When was the last time we saw a guy bleed on Raw? That made that shit special. That's why that video got tons of views. Because less is more. This is what I think about All Elite Wrestling these past 5 years. They do shit that Vince McMahon was not allowing talent to do. That was their crutch. Let's do shit that Vince McMahon does not allow people to do. That's what Tony Khan man was doing, right? He felt like that's what people wanted. He felt like that's what the Smarks wanted. He felt like, oh yeah, people want to see blood. People want to hear bad language. No, bitch. We want to hear bad language from top guys. We don't want to hear bad language from jobbers. That's my point. That's what made top guys special in the World Wrestling Federation. If you want to get to that level, how about you step your game up, right? I don't want to hear Jeff Hardy cursing in damn near 2000, right? Mid-Carders should not be cursing. Mid-Carders should not have freedom on the microphone. You gotta be a top guy. For example, CM Junk was a top guy before his pipe bomb promo. Guys like Zack Ryder and fucking Alex Riley, those guys were not allowed to cut pipe bombs, right? Jobbers are not allowed to cut pipe bombs. Heath Slater is not allowed to cut pipe bombs, but if he went to All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling, he would be allowed to cut pipe bombs. Okay, that makes it less special. We become numb to your words because top guys, mid-carders, jobbers, they have the same promos. Okay, that's whack. That's garbage. That means nobody gets over. Nobody's special. Look at the size difference in All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. How is Darby Allin a giant killer, right? If I'm seeing Orange Cassidy beating Big Cass, so how is he a giant killer? How is Max a giant killer if he's 5'8" being pushed as a main eventer, right? All these small men. How is Hook a giant killer if everybody who's small on that roster is beating big guys? Okay, how is Will Ospreay a giant killer if everybody beats Lance Archer? See, it makes it less special. I'm not seeing small men beating Braun Strowman. Let's be real. Lance Archer is the Braun Strowman of All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling, but at least the real Braun Strowman is not getting beaten by small men. Now, I will say this. Do I think CM Junk still watches All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling? Yes, but let's talk about his run in All Elite Fake Pro Wrestling. To me, it was a very solid run. He had good feuds because his feuds actually make sense. He did not bleed for the fun of it. Every time he bled, it actually meant something. I think that's what CM Junk means. People are not trying to follow his formula. Don't bleed for no reason. My God, I feel like Bryan Danielson ruined his legacy. Because, man, you are setting a bad example, bro. You are an icon, a legend. You are trying to bleed every month. I'm like, bro, you are an icon, legend. You don't need to bleed. Just like Edge, right? Edge was over. He did not need to jump off a fucking cage. Also, fun fact, Hulk Hogan, he recently said that Edge jumping off that cage was dumb. He said, bro, Edge, you are over. You don't need to jump off a fucking cage for a pop. That's what Hulk Hogan said, I think, last month. So that's my point. When it comes to All Elite Wrestling, I don't get it. You gotta put some respect on Vince McMahon's name, like I always say. There was a point in time where Daniel Bryan said the reason he left the World Wrestling Federation was because Vince McMahon did not allow him to bleed. Yes, that's what he said. Go and look it up. Go and Google it. He said the reason he left the World Wrestling Federation was because he wanted to fucking bleed. What mark says that? Right? I never heard Tommy Dreamer say, you know what? I want to bleed, so I'm going to leave the World Wrestling Federation because I want to bleed. That is crazy. That is insane in the membrane. I'm like, bro, you are a bad example. Edge is also a bad example. Nigga, you a legend. Why are you jumping off of cages, bro? I'm like, you would think that CM Junk is telling all these young guys, listen, don't bleed for the fun of it. Don't jump off shit for the fun of it. Have it mean something. Is he trying to talk about Edge and Daniel Bryan? Guys who are in their 40s, 50s? That is wild. Like I said, you gotta set a better example for the people behind you who look up to you. Now, I did hear that CM Junk resigned a new contract, right? I heard that this is a lifetime contract. I heard that soon, in the near future, he's going to run NXT. What are my thoughts? I think that is a great move. That is a great move. I think CM Junk, he should run NXT. That makes sense. Because I think CM Junk is a better coach than a wrestler. That's my opinion. I think CM Junk is a better teacher than he is a fake pro wrestler. That's my point. Because listen, that guy has knowledge. CM Junk, that guy has knowledge. I mean, bro, look at him. His body was never great, right? CM Junk has no muscles. So I'm like, bro, how did you become a tough guy? Based on how the way your ass look. He has tats. He ain't buff. He has piercings. I'm like, bro, how did you become a tough guy? What is your secret? That's my point. Based off that, man, he has tons of advice. Because how the fuck did CM Junk become a top guy? So obviously, CM Junk has great advice to give to other people on trying to be top guys. Hell, if I was in NXT, I would ask CM Junk for advice. Because hell, I want to know. Okay, who would I ask for advice? Would I ask Roman Reigns or CM Junk for advice? Hell, nigga, I would ask CM Junk for advice before I asked Roman Reigns for advice. Why? Nothing was handed to CM Junk. Everything CM Junk has, he earned. I can't say that about Roman Reigns, right? Based on, bro, your cousin is Rocky Maivia. Your cousin is Yokozuna. So I'm like, bro, I can't ask you for advice. I would rather ask an underdog for advice, like a CM Junk. CM Junk had tons of odds against him on being a top guy. Hell, he's lucky he has Paul Heyman, right? He is lucky he had Paul Heyman to be his backer. It was Paul Heyman and John Cena. They were responsible for CM Junk becoming a top guy in the World Wrestling Federation. But yes, this is a great move for CM Junk. I think CM Junk is going to be a great booker and a great coach when he retires and runs NXT. I think this is a great motherfucking move. But overall, yes, I hope Raw does not turn into Dynamite. That's what CM Junk is saying and trying to blade, doing dumbass stunts. He don't want them to use that as a crutch because now they are on Netflix, right? The fact that they are on Netflix, that means anything goes. Nothing will be censored. Anything goes, bro. That is a movie channel, right? That is a movie app. So that means, bro, they have freedom. They can say anything they want to. They can do anything they want to. But CM Junk says, listen, I get it, but less is more. Don't do things just because it's in a rule book and we have freedom. Let things be rare, right? That what makes feuds great when we hear cursing in certain feuds, but those are with top guys. That makes sense. Only top guys should be allowed to curse, bleed, and do crazy ass angles. It should not be in that mid-card. For example, I don't want to hear Chad Gable cursing. That's my point. I don't want to hear Dragunov cursing. I don't want to hear motherfucking Ricochet cursing. Okay? Stuff like that. I don't want to hear Braun Strowman cursing. I don't want to hear Bronson Reed cursing. I want to hear Drew Mack cursing. Okay, that makes sense. It makes sense for Seth Freaky Rollins to curse. That makes sense. I don't want to hear JD McDonagh cursing. When people think about the Attitude Era, they think about cursing. I'm like, nah, bro, that's not what made the Attitude Era special. It was not about the cursing. It was about the storylines, the over-the-top storylines that were for a mature audience. That does not equal cursing. Look at All Elite Wrestling. They think they are edgy based on they are allowed to curse. No, bitch. That means your show has a potty mouth. That don't mean that it's great. Cursing only means something in great storylines. Even Stone Cold Steve Austin did not curse all that often, right? I don't know why people think about the Attitude Era as all about cursing. No, it was about the storylines. Listen, when I think about cursing in wrestling, I don't think about the World Wrestling Federation. I don't think about the Attitude Era. I think about XPW. I think about ECW. They cursed. But that is the thing. They were not a big time company, so who cares if they curse? Who cares if ECW was cursing? Right? That was an indie company, so who gives a fuck? But a high class company like the World Wrestling Federation and WCW, they don't gotta curse. So that's what CM Junk is saying. Don't be a cosplay ECW. Curse when it's called for.